Welcome back. Today we are continuing with the build that we did in part 6, and we're just going to be adding the back end of this bucket wheel assembly and finally installing the motor assembly. So I've got all the parts on the table. You can see over here a lot of gears, so there's going to be a lot of mechanism in this assembly. Lots to do. Let's just get right into it. First gear is attached. Okay, this has to, we already got some gears going here, and this has to get installed where the gears get aligned. Might be easier to click that in there first. I believe it's got to go over that pin right there. And then this one here, snap that all together. And the gears touch and are free to move, which is good. All right, checking all the gears. There's something oddly satisfying about connecting a bunch of moving gears together. There's a lot more to go yet. So these bricks are gearboxes because they can click in one direction and then click in another to engage different set of gears. So I think for now I'm going to keep that in the middle position. It's already getting quite complicated. Here's our first look at the motor assembly. Now, those who are familiar with Technic know what this looks like, although this one in particular, I believe is a discontinued version of the motor, just because this set is quite old. Okay, I think that's in the right spot. Now, this will get hooked up later, of course. This end eventually gets hooked into the battery pack. Now, the actual drive part of the motor is through here. So none of this directly connects into here, but something coming out here will connect to these gears. So here's the first little mini assembly that we've done. You can see quite a few gears in here and 3 gearboxes, which can be engaged or disengaged to run off this single motor. So when the motor's running, we could have all 3 going at the same time, or just one of the 3 going. Eventually there'll be switches in here that'll engage the different sets of the gears. This gets joined to our first assembly, so it'll close this off. Make sure I get this in the right orientation. That should be right. How does this all get attached? Oh, that snapped in a lot easier than I thought it would, considering how many attachment points there were. Okay, there we go. A lot of our gears are hooked up. This part's a little more difficult because it's got to go across multiple pins and it's quite long. Okay, so now see, these red gears are just very loosely attached. They don't firmly attach onto anything, so it requires other pieces to frame it in so they can't fall out. So all the red ones are now confined. Well, I guess except for this one, but this one's got a pin in it that it can't come out from the pin. I like these big white gears. So you can see how this white gear is connected to this set of gears here. So this pin is going to get connected into our motor. So it goes through here. just snaps into the motor. Right. Okay, so that snaps in across these 3 pins. Right, okay. I can't manually turn the motor, but if I were to hook up the motor, I'm sure that'll turn. I'm gonna hook up the motor just for a quick check, just to make sure. This is the motor box. Well, the battery box, sorry. Oof, that's a lot of batteries. Just like the gearbox, ooh, that's turned on. The battery box has a, it's updated as well. This is an old one. Okay, let's hook that up. And we'll see, do our gears work? Yes, everything now turns. Okay, so this part of the assembly is done. That is all of our gears. They're all now in here. Haven't shown this switching mechanism yet because next we're building the actual switch box for engaging these gears. Now there's a sticker that has to go on here to indicate the function of the gearbox. Just make sure I get it in the right orientation. Even without the sticker, you can figure out how it functions. Here we go. Neutral, one position, second position. All right, here's our switching panel with 3 different switches and the different functions that it indicates. We have to get this attached onto here. So this gets installed like this. Push these pins in. Now, got to make sure the switches are aligned to be in the center of all of those gears, which I think that's right. Okay, so that is attached. Our switches can now switch. We'll check out the function a bit later. That should go like that. Oh, that's a bit tricky because that's got to go into the side of the gearbox. Hold that all in place. Okay, squeeze that together. So here's our gearbox assembly. Now we're ready to connect this into our bucket wheel assembly we did in part 6. Oh, look at this thing. Okay, I gotta get some of this stuff out of my way. Now, ooh. You can see this big yellow Technic pin here. It's got to go into there. And then these, what do these do? Okay, yeah, there's 2 little, hard to see, 2 little. There's 2 receiving elements there. So this whole thing should just slide together and connect with these pins. So this could be a bit tricky. Okay, I'll do it this way. So if I get the pins lined up, okay, that's lined up, that's lined, oh, that went in a little bit sooner than I wanted it to. I think I have to push these parts in. Turn that around. There we go. Yeah, they just get pushed in and they snap in. So now everything's connected. Oh, this is exciting. Sorry, so this turns the conveyor. Not sure what that's engaging yet. And then that engages some of the stuff down here. So it all works. Okay, so that happened. It's probably easier to put this on this way anyway. There we go. It's just so difficult to work with when it's, ow! Got my finger stuck again. Get to install the battery box now. Should just go across those two black pins right there. Okay, so this has to go up through here. And it gets attached. Now, what's got me a little bit concerned, confused, is the switch is blocked by that pin. Maybe that's on purpose. Okay, so none of the gears are engaged yet. Gotta click that, click that. Ah! Look at that. And the conveyor is running. Oh. Doesn't like being tilted. It's so exciting to see it all moving. Okay, now what do we need to do here? We need to flip this over and put some stuff on the underside here. Let's go here. As you can see, I've adjusted my camera because now we have to put that assembly onto the main assembly and it goes up top here, so I was rapidly running out of room. This should be fun. There's a lot of things that have to align for this to sit. These 3 pins down here have to align with the 3 we just put in the main part there. Okay, and we're finally going to connect to these things here. Okay, mounting this thing onto here is actually quite clever. I got to align these black gears here with the pins over here. I'm looking at my side here first. Okay, that slips over, and then I got to get these 3 pins in the middle. Can't really see what I'm doing. Things just kind of rocking there right now. I'll rotate this around. Oh, you can't really see this. I'm just going to push these pins in just to lock this into place. Like that. Snap. Okay, so you can see this can, it's actually quite cool. Look how much this can rotate. It's not supposed to though. So these, it's really hard to see now. These pistons down here have to get connected up into the bottom here somewhere. Now I can, with it tilted down, connect into these parts. That one's in. Okay, so I'm connected in. I'm going to turn this around. Oh, so big. It's heavy too. Okay, now I'm going to turn this gear back here. And when I do, that is as far as those pins go. Look at this monster. This is great. Now there's still another assembly that has to go on top here. this. I can't see my instructions. This should go over top of all of this. Oop. It should be over top. There we go. Again, getting these parts over multiple pins can be a challenge. Well, I don't know if this is intentional or not, but that's a nice handle for picking that up. There we go. That was parts bag number 7. As you can see, this is about as big as it's going to get. The last remaining bag is going to put a bunch of stuff on the outside, which there's enough there that I want to make it its own video. And a quick comment on the battery pack. At least the Lego company here has made a good decision, the designers, that the battery pack is easily accessible. I could pull this off and take the batteries out. And the reason why that's good is you don't want to leave your batteries in your battery pack if you're not going to be using the set for a long period of time, because your batteries could go bad. So having the battery pack easily accessible allows you to pop it off, take the batteries out, and then pop them in quickly when you want to use it. If this was buried in the middle someplace, so it would be, you'd have to pull so much apart. Well, there we go. So we did the back part here with the gearbox and the motor. This little upper part here. This thing's massive. I love it. Now, there's still some additional parts to go around this just for flavor. I'll do that in the next video. And now that I've kind of figured out the actual gearing, I can showcase it a little bit better with the aggregate, get everything as a final showcase in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. We'll finish this build off next week.